that he will start to view his every action with doubt. Normal, day-to-day behaviour of a loving father becomes sinister and threatening. I felt very nervous when I slept with my little 4-year-old when she came over and spent the night, and she insisted on spending the night. And I thought, oh, hell's going to break loose now, because she slept with us to the age of 3. People viewing this may have a view on that. That's how we brought her up. So when she said, I want to go home with Dad, she just got into bed, which is my bed, that big empty thing, that desert that I seem to occupy these days. And I was so panicky, and I really mean panicky, like, you know, like going like this, and maybe I shouldn't sleep there. And she said, come on, Dad. And I was just afraid that she'd go back, and the other side would say, knowingly, you know, because she knows, do you see, and use that against me.
Yeah, it's not something I would recommend to a client. There is a potential difficulty if a man who has recently separated from his partner, wife, whoever, and has his 4 or 5-year-old child in the bed with him.
But isn't that sad?
Maybe. Over the last 15 years, we have developed concerns about sexual abuse.
We're actually not trustworthy as humans. We're somehow hairy and brutish. We've got this big thing between our legs that controls us. And if you're with a little child, your little child, and you're sleeping together, that somehow these uncontrollable man urges will suddenly rise to the fore.
We have countless people at our meetings saying, you know, there are these sort of, perhaps not actual allegations, but suggestions out there. Yeah. And we have to say, well, you know, just be a bit wary about having your child in your bed. I know when my child was...
That is a disgrace.
It is crazy,
That is disgusting and a disgrace.
Yeah.
This is denied because, well, we're men, you know, we don't do that sort of crap.
I mean, my son, when we separated, he was 4, and he was obviously, you know, he was disturbed about what was going on between his parents. He wanted to be in my bed, and I thought about the implications of it, and then, like you, I thought, fuck it, no, he can stay there, that's fine, and we'll take the consequences if someone raises an issue about it, which luckily they never did. But you have to say to people who come to our meetings, be careful, you know, because there'll be suggestions.
In your experience, how many of the allegations of abuse or violence are substantiated?
Well, I think that's a very difficult question. I would think probably not a lot.
There is a great and terrible perversity that underlines all of this. The modern and unspoken sense that all men are violent, abusive thugs, despite the reality of the men in every woman's life, or indeed man's life, their fathers, brothers, uncles, sons and lovers and friends. All men with varying degrees of human complexity, pretty much like women in fact, and all not bad people.
The argument that you're incapable of bringing up a child because you're male, because you've got testosterone, I kind of hope that's gone away, because observationally it clearly isn't true anymore, but it lingers on in the family courts. And it baffles me, but, you know, fortunately I'm not a lawyer.
You wrote, when it comes to understanding the conduct and character of men when compared to women, vulgar supposition is easier than objective measurement.
That is that is absolutely right. I mean,
it's a sort of legal laziness, isn't it? While the courts maintain this outdated sugar and spice, slugs and snails view of men and women, the rest of us have moved on. Today's fathers are increasingly involved in raising their children.
You gonna eat any more, mister? Yeah? We'll sit round properly, come on.
And I just can't understand people saying that a woman can look after a child better than a man. To me, that's a load of rubbish. You know, they do the same job as good as each other.
There's a lot of women that can't bring up kids as well. It's not a sex-specific thing. It's a cultural thing.
This antiquated, prejudiced, bias, discriminatory law must catch up with us. It must redress the balance and reflect the way that men and women choose to live now, how we wish to bring up children together, but perhaps in a different way. The family courts, with all their inefficiencies, have caused thousands of children such damage fathers such stress, such turmoil, that more and more men are simply giving up. The system is so stacked against them that fewer and fewer have the energy to even get to court in the first place.
Why
don't more men go into the court?
Well, because you know you're going to lose, so there's no point. I mean, if...
And the solicitors tell you that, don't they?
They do indeed. And, you know, I mean, last week my car radio was stolen. Did I report it to the police? What would be the point, you know? The police aren't going to get my radio back, so I don't bother. In the same way, I don't bother to go to court if there's some difficulty over my contact, because I'm stuffed in here. What's the point? And so I'm not part of that 10% who go to court, if you like, on a big issue like that.
What the Prime Minister says, because he's advised to say it, is that, well, look, it isn't as big a problem as it appears, because the majority of men don't go to courts to challenge this. People settle it. Well, I mean, this assumes that men on separation say, you're getting the kids? Fine, great, best of luck, love, I won't see my kids get... What? I would suggest the true truth behind the figures is that most guys are not very happy seeing the most cherished things in their entire existence once a fortnight.
No, they're not. And the majority will say that the time they have them is never enough.
Every step of the way you are emasculated, eviscerated, impediments put in your way, stopped, played with, manipulated, shit upon, treated with contempt, treated with derision, made to shut up, made to feel like an animal and a brute, never allowed to express the thing they say you don't have in the first place, your love for your child. When is this going to stop?
All of it is ludicrous fucking terminology for something that should actually just be about two people looking after their children. And don't keep me away from them, because they don't deserve that. And actually, nor do I. I've done nothing wrong. And most of us haven't done anything wrong.